Well, hello, I'm Harris Rubenstein. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsTeam for all your Patriots news and updates. We just went through the top rumors of the week, so without further ado, let's get into the Patriots' top draft targets at each of their positions of need. And we're going to start with linebacker because boy, oh boy, does this team need some linebackers. So let's get into our first option, the only real projected first-round pick that we have in this entire segment, and that's Rashaan Evans, the big-time linebacker from Alabama. They already have Donta Hightower. You stick Rashaan Evans next to him, it's going to be a nice fit. He's way smaller than Donta Hightower is, and he plays more of an inside linebacker role. I think they would probably have to trade up into the early to mid-20s to draft him, but he's definitely an option to sit in the middle and get a lot of tackles. Speaking of a guy who can get a lot of tackles, how about Micah Kiser, the linebacker from Virginia? I'm a big fan of his. I think he's going to be a really fun inside linebacker in the NFL. The dude's a tackling machine. He had 143 tackles this year, along with almost 10 tackles for loss and 5 sacks. In the NFL, he projects out to be probably more of just a two-down, run-stopping linebacker, which is fine because the Patriots really need that, seeing as Landon Roberts is really, really bad. So Micah Kiser could come in, slot in right into that middle linebacker spot, and be a really, really nice fit in that defense. Let's get into our third linebacker option. This one's more of a fun one than anything. It's Joel Lanning, the linebacker from Iowa State, who can play running back, he can play quarterback, he can play linebacker, he can play on special teams. The dude can play everywhere. He's a team player. He's very well known as well around college football for his leadership abilities. I don't think he's going to be a high draft pick, but if the Patriots are looking to take a linebacker at the end of the draft that really kind of fits what they're looking for, I think Joel Lanning would be a great player. He'd also slot in well into what they do on special teams. So those are 3 linebackers the Patriots could take. They could take Rashaan Evans from Bama, Micah Kiser from UVA, and Joel Lanning from Iowa State. So those are our linebackers. Let's get into our offensive tackles. And we start with Kolton Miller, a guy who moves really well for a player of his size. He's 6'9". He's projected first and second round draft pick. I really like Kolton Miller. He kind of comps well to who Nate Solder is as an overall player. So I'm going to take Kolton Miller in the first round. He might actually be who they end up taking in at pick 31. If you had given me a mock draft right now, I would have the Patriots taking Kolton Miller at the end of the first round. Let's get into another guy, Brandon Parker. This dude is huge. He is 6'7", over 330 pounds. He has excellent size. He's very athletic for a guy of his size. Probably going to go to the 3rd or 4th round. I think that he kind of comps well to a Cameron Fleming. Big, oversized guy that you can kind of teach a little bit more technique for. I think Brandon Parker kind of fits the mold to what the Patriots usually go for. First swing tackles. And then our last guy is Tyrell Crosby, the offensive tackle from Oregon. I'm not really sure how he's going to do as a pass blocker in the NFL. I think he's going to be really good in the run game, but at this point, he'd be a late round pick for the Pats. I think that they would only draft him as a backup, not to eventually be the starter. He's a good player, but at the same time, I can't really see the Patriots spending a high draft pick on him. So let's go over those left tackles. The Patriots are going to maybe take Kolton Miller, Brandon Parker, and Tyrell Crosby. I think Kolton Miller and Brandon Parker are definitely the more likely guys. Just the size and the size and the athleticism comps that they have with the Patriots' current tackles are almost spot on, especially with a Marcus Cannon or a now, I guess, left for the Cowboys, Cameron Fleming. Let's get into quarterback. Breathe. Don't hurt me. The first option I have for them in the 1st or 2nd round, because that's how I went. I went top picks, then mid-round picks and late picks. One of the top picks that the Patriots could take at quarterback is indeed Lamar Jackson. They were already connected to him last week. We know that Josh McDaniels likes running quarterbacks. He obviously drafted one of the 1st round of Tim Tebow. I think Lamar Jackson is an option for the New England Patriots. I don't know if they're actually going to do it, but look, he's a smart kid, especially in terms of his football IQ. He's incredibly athletic. The Patriots can maybe use him as a gadget player while they're teaching him how to play the NFL quarterback spot. I think he'd be a perfect fit with what the Patriots do on offense. And hey, if you have accuracy problems, who better to teach you how to get better at accuracy than Tom Brady and the rest of the Patriots offense? I think the fit is there, but at the same time, do the Patriots want to spend a 1st-round pick on a quarterback? That remains to be seen. All right, let's get into our second option. That's Mason Rudolph out of Oklahoma State. I actually think that this is a really good fit for the Patriots. He's a big-time quarterback, throws deep down the field. He needs to get better at a short to intermediate game, and I think the Patriots offensive system could really help him with that. He has a high quarterback completion percentage in terms of his 65%. He has 4,900 yards last year. Be about a 2nd-round pick. He's not Bryce Petty. I think he's going to end up being better than Bryce Petty, who is the Baylor quarterback who's currently on the Jets. But at the same time, you do have that kind of worry when it comes to Mason Rudolph with him coming out of that conference. Let's get into our third quarterback, Kyle Lauletta. I've seen this guy all over the place in terms of Patriots quarterbacks that they could end up drafting. Look, he has a lot of similar size to former Patriots quarterbacks. You know, they drafted a Brian Hoyer. He's a little bit bigger than Hoyer, but he kind of matches up perfectly to what you got out of Jimmy Garoppolo or a Kevin O'Connor way back when. About 6'3", 210, matches up exactly what they do on offense. He had a quick passing game in college at Richmond. Good completion percentage of 64.9% and 28 touchdowns to 12 picks. I think he'd be a good option. Probably a third to fourth round pick to where the Patriots would end up taking him. Let's get into our next guy, and that's Chase Litton, the quarterback from Marshall. You might be a little confused as to why I have him on this list. Only a completion percentage of 60%, and he's a projected fourth-round pick. Why do you have him on this list, Harris? Well, the Patriots met with him at the Combine and are apparently in love with his high football IQ and his overall size. The Patriots haven't had a quarterback of his size at least since Ryan Mallett. So he'd be a quarterback that they could bring in, maybe try to mold him into a more accurate passer, but the size and the arm are there, and I think that's going to be enticing for any team looking to take a quarterback in the mid-rounds. Let's get into our next guy, and that's Logan Woodside, the quarterback from Toledo. We know that Nick Caserio is interested in him. Obviously, he visited his pro day at Toledo. Very similar offensive system to what Jimmy Garoppolo ran in college. He's a projected late-round pick, so maybe 5th, 6th, or 7th. So the Patriots have a lot of options at quarterback. I cheated and went with 5 in this version. All the other positions only have 3. But in order, they are Lamar Jackson, Mason Rudolph, Kyle Lauletta, Chase Litton, and Logan Woodside. Let's get into some safeties, and we start with Justin Reid, who, if you're a real Patriots fan, you know that they've been connected a lot to this guy. They met with him at the Combine. They had a private workout with him. They really seem to enjoy his high football IQ and his versatility. He can play free safety. He can also play the Patrick Chung-esque role of kind of a pseudo linebacker. He's probably going to be about a 2nd or 3rd round pick, but at the same time, I think Justin Reid would be a really, really good option on this defense. I also think that with Patrick Chung starting to be on his way out with the team, I know he just got an extension, but that age is starting to pile up for a strong safety. I think Justin Reid would be a great replacement for Jordan Richards and someone who can rotate a little bit more with Patrick Chung, who has dealt with injury issues in the past. Speaking of a guy who can kind of replace Patrick Chung, how about Armani Watts from Texas A&M, who is literally Patrick Chung 2.0. The size is there, as is the ability. He can come down and play linebacker. He's a big-time hitter and can also play a little free safety. I'm actually kind of surprised about where he's being mocked. I'm seeing him getting mocked in the 3rd or 4th round, which for me is absolutely crazy. I think this guy has 1st or 2nd round ability. Maybe some off-the-field stuff with Armani Watts, but I think he'd be a great fit for the Pats defense. Again, you got to get someone to rotate a little bit more with Patrick Chung. Jordan Richards has proven that he just cannot be on the field in any sort of factor in terms of the defensive side of the ball. Let's get into our last safety option. How about Marcus Allen, the safety from Penn State? Was a 4-year starter there. Probably going to be about a 4th or 5th round pick. Isn't the most athletic guy in the world and doesn't have a crazy amount of ability, but the thing that the Patriots are going to love him for, he's incredibly consistent. A lot of tackles, can play a little free safety, can play some strong safety as well. He's a versatile player on the field. He's a smart player. I think he's a little bit too close to what Jordan Richards was coming out, but I think that Marcus Allen is going to be a decent NFL pro, but I don't know if the Patriots will end up drafting him. He could if he ends up coming in the later rounds of the draft. So we got a reaction poll for you guys. Which position should the Patriots address in the 1st round? Give me a heart for left tackle, a like for linebacker, a laughing face for defensive tackle. Yes, I put D tackle on there because whenever the Patriots are just kind of looking for a guy to take, they usually go D tackle. That's just what they've always kind of gone on in the past. You always need more D tackles in the Patriots defensive system. And then lastly, give us a wow face for a safety. I'm going to go with left tackle. I still think it should be Kolton Miller, and then maybe you trade up into the top of the 2nd round, or at least with that San Francisco 49ers pick, and take a linebacker. Let's go over those safeties that I just talked about. You got Justin Reid from Stanford, Armani Watts from Texas A&M, and Marcus Allen from Penn State. Speaking of Penn State, let's get into our tight ends, and we got Mike Gesicki, who I think is the top tight end in this entire class. I think he'd be perfect for what the Patriots are looking for on offense. They need a guy that they can split out. They don't need a blocker. They have good blocking tight ends on the roster right now. I think Gesicki would give them a sick combo with Gronk in the red zone. Just 2 huge, incredibly athletic guys who can just pick off touchdowns on top of everyone. I think Gesicki would be a great option for the Pats. let's get into someone who's more of a all-around tight end, not just such a overall wide receiver, and that's Mark Andrews. He's a little bit better of a blocker than what we have with Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki, by the way, is basically a wide receiver who plays in line. Andrews can block a little bit in the run game. He isn't great at it, but at the same time, he's probably the top all-around tight end in the class. He came from Oklahoma, had a great season with Baker Mayfield, so we'll see if he can match the production he had in college in the NFL. And then the last guy I have here is Dallas Goedert, who, coming from South Dakota State, we know that they have a great football program over there. He's a solid athlete, good size, a ton of production, over 1,100 yards last year and 7 touchdowns. I think he's going to go in the second or third round, but a team might fall in love with him and take him at the end of the first, in the early second. It really depends on how a team's draft board looks in terms of tight end. So those are our top 3 tight ends that the Patriots could take. Let's get into running backs because, look, I still think the Patriots are going to take a running back high in this draft. Maybe second round, maybe even third round. The last time they took a running back was actually James White back in 2014, who, mind you, is now the last running back from that class, or excuse me, the last player in that draft class altogether who's still on the team. So let's get into some running backs the Patriots could take. And we start with Sonny Michel, the running back from Georgia, who, look, he has big playability. He can play all 3 downs. He had a ton of touchdowns in 2017. I think he might end up sneaking into the back end of the first round, though it's kind of either Sonny Michel or Ronald Jones III from USC. So we'll see what ends up happening with Sonny Michel. He's a projected first or second round pick. I think he's going to be a great player in the NFL. We'll see if he fits into the Patriots offensive system. Let's get into the second running back, and that's Akron Wiley. I told you about these Iowa guys, and I have another Iowa player here. Look, he's a one-cut running back. He isn't the best overall runner. He had a great season for Iowa. He's a tough guy. He can break some tackles as well. He kind of fits that Mike Gillislee, Jeremy Hill kind of role. If they want to bring in a third running back of that style to push some of the veterans, I think Wiley's going to be their guy. They love people coming out of that Iowa system. And the last guy, in my projected pick for the Patriots at running back, it's Mark Walton, the running back from Miami. Why? Because he's the best blocking running back in this entire draft class, and that's always what Bill Belichick goes for. He loves running backs who can block. He did have some injury problems last season at Miami, but he can block, he can catch the ball, and he can also run between the tackles. That, to me, sounds like the perfect Bill Belichick running back, especially the blocking. I can't stress that enough. Even Deion Lewis could block at his small size. He even did a good job for the Patriots last year. But that's going to do it for Patriots Report today. Remember to like New England Patriots by Chat Sports so you can get an update whenever we go live here on Patriots Report. You can follow me on Twitter at SportsDean for all of your Patriots news and updates. But for now, we'll see you.